Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saying, joining right in the middle of my intro, 10th Man, Neil, Arwin, and one person in Gilded. No, two people in Gilded, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Nathan, you want to switch rooms?
Morning.
Say again, Righteous?
I need you to switch rooms. We're kind of moving things over. Everybody's in the other room waiting for you.
Okay.
So, on the very left, instead of the Nathan group with your icon on it, go up more to like the science versus pseudoscience icon. Click on that, and you'll find another live stream room there.
What?
Eh,
Live stream. I don't know what
It's
I'm
in
doing.
the
I don't know.
server home.
Is this
called
not?
server
Is this
home.
not where we joined yesterday?
Yeah, it is, but we were supposed to have this room hidden because we wanted to make it more simpler for viewers to join, and we wanted to make you in the home server home lobby section, right?
Okay. So I've got channels, general, join, leave, live stream, and after show. That's all I can see. Or
Yeah,
members.
there's like a you got to go left more. How do you get that? You get that by clicking.
Got members, server home.
Yeah, server home. Click on that. Click on server home.
Okay. And then,
And then
in here,
scroll down to
Nathan's
Nathan's
live show.
Yeah.
Check. Can you hear me in Gilded?
Yeah, we hear you.
Brilliant. Can you hear me in the live show, in the live stream chat? I don't normally do this. I'm normally pretty slick, but I'm having so many issues at the moment. Go on, whoever that was. I'm asking the live stream chat. We will start a proper in a minute. I know this has been, my God, 4 minutes of absolutely awful beginning to the show. But nevertheless, can you hear me okay in the... Yes, Scott says he can. Great. Let's do a proper introduction. Welcome one and all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, good to be here.
Hey, good afternoon. Good morning.
Right, let's make out like that last 3 minutes didn't happen. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
It's just like the last 3 minutes. It never was there.
I was going to say something like that too.
Black Swan.
They still tell stories about it in the old fairy tale books. You know, where boats were going over a supposed curve and being the supposed curve hiding boats and buildings in the distance. But I don't know. Past a couple of years, we've been told that nobody claims that. So I don't know.
But they're still talking about boats going over the horizon, Chocolate.
So that's weird. So I guess if you talk about it, you got to say nobody claims it. But if you just read it in the book, it's okay.
Well, somebody had the
checks
rebuttal
out.
from Gilded. I don't know who that was. Was it Jorge?
Yeah, that's correct. Black Swan.
It's game over, man.
Since 2020, it's been game over.
1st Jan 2020. It's been a long time. What is it, coming up on 3 years? Yeah, there is no Earth curve. There is no physical geometric limitation to your view.
Wait, Nathan. Your premise starts with if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles. Nah, that's a straw man.
What? That's the claim. The claim is that the Earth's a sphere with a radius of 3959. You're telling me that the claim's a straw man? Yeah, well, I'd agree with that. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I'll have that.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, if there's no Earth curve, and there isn't, you don't have a globe, what's the purpose for axial rotation?
I was just listening again to Neil deGrasse reiterating his wonderful story of how he watched a football game, saw football hit the upright and go into the field goal, and team won because of Coriolis and caused by the rotation of the Earth.
So Earth rotated underneath the football?
Oh yes.
That would mean Earth rotated underneath
the
hot air
audio
balloons.
clip?
Sorry, go on.
Do you want the audio clip? It's a newer one besides the one that was like a few years ago. He reiterated the story because I guess it was so wonderful. So I could post that clip real quick.
Yeah, let's have it. Why not?
So are
Okay,
you
give me a
saying
second.
that in the official NFL stats, the field goal kicker has to have an assist from the Earth?
No, he's saying that Neil deGrasse Tyson claimed that the ball drifted through the goal because Earth rotated under the ball. That's Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim. And we'll get to how his claim is wrong and disproven in a moment, but we'll buy Chocolate a little bit of time. Hopefully say hello to John, who's been getting in and out. Or not, but we'll see when the clip comes. But if the claim of Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is Earth turns underneath the football so that you see it apparently curve through the goal, well, if that's the case, then Earth's rotating under the ball, as Neil deGrasse Tyson suggests. But that would shorten flight times. If Earth's rotating underneath the ball for us to observe Coriolis effect, and the only way you can observe Coriolis effect is if you are rotating under that ball or anything that's not attached to the claim to be turning reference frame. In this case, Neil deGrasse Tyson's claiming Earth's a turning reference frame, with you on it looking at things drift because they're not attached to it. That's called Coriolis effect. But that would mean we'd look at aeroplanes and see them seem to drift because we're turning beneath them. And that would shorten flight times. The consequence of us turning beneath an aeroplane is that its flight time is shortened when travelling west. And that simply doesn't happen.
Yeah, but Nathan, the football, it doesn't travel like an airplane. So there's considerations.
There's no considerations because the effect that's being described is only observable and describable from the turning reference frame. So the fact that the projectile in any instance is different is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if it's a tree that you're observing dangling from something, or a plane, or a ball. So long as you've got the effect, that would be Coriolis. That effect is you turning beneath things and seeing them seem to drift. Can you pop yourselves on mute in Gilded if you're not talking, please?
The clip is in Master D. Hopefully.
Or whatever is the hike with the kick, they had to make a 55-yard field goal. And if they make it, it's for the win. If they don't, the game continues. They could win it on this kick. So I'm watching this, and the kick, it goes up, and it tumbles. This is where no one breathes, okay, in the stadium. Nobody breathes. And you see the ball tumble, and it's tumbling, and there it goes. And it hits the left upright and careens in for the score. And the Cincinnati Bengals win. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. And I did a fast calculation. It was airborne for like 3.5 seconds, something like that. I did the math. I checked the orientation of the stadium. The stadium is oriented north-south. And I said, oh, my gosh. The Cincinnati Bengals for the win field goal kick was aided by a 1/3 of an inch deflection to the right.
Yeah.
Caused by the rotation of the earth. People lost their minds. I tweeted it.
God.
Yeah,
That
they
is such
lost their
bullshit.
One more
mind.
time.
Sure.
Guys in Gilded, please can you locally mute? Which you're not. None of you are talking, so I want to see everyone on mute. Yeah, nobody's listening to me in Gilded.
Some folks are on push to talk if they're on phone, so they
Oh,
should
okay.
be good.
I can just see the line dancing around, which means that there's audio coming through from it. But anyway, we'll figure that out another time. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Wait a minute, no comment on that, Neil deGrasse?
Well, no, we've already covered it before it was played. He's claiming Earth turns underneath the ball to cause the field goal. That's Coriolis effect. It's a fairly commonly known globe claim that Earth is claimed to have Coriolis effect. In fact, most people think it's synonymous with a globe claim. It isn't. It's the claim that you've got a turning reference frame and you're observing things that aren't on the turning reference frame being observed by you on the turning reference frame to seem to drift. That's Coriolis effect. So he's suggesting that we see the ball seem to drift because we turn beneath it. Coriolis effect, as the globe claims. Well, that would shorten flight times when travelling west.
Right, but he claimed north-south only. Why is he claiming north-south only?
Makes no difference what he's claiming. He's claiming Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect is only observable if you turn beneath. The prerequisite requirements are a non-inertial turning reference frame and an inertial reference frame to observe a projectile travelling in a straight line and seeming to curve because you turn beneath it. That is Coriolis effect. Now, if he's going to add to Coriolis effect and say it's only observable north-south, well then fine. Show me a ball tossed north-south over a roundabout that doesn't seem to drift as I turn beneath it. He just doesn't understand Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect isn't somehow dependent on the direction of travel of the projectile, merely that you're turning beneath it. So if his assertion in that regard is true, it would be true to say that if I toss a ball over the top of a roundabout in a north-south direction, I won't see it curve, or I will see it. It makes no difference which direction the ball's travelling, because the requirement for Coriolis is that you turn beneath it, not what direction it travels in.
The only comment I'll really give on this is that, since he originally had this story out, right? There have been a lot of globers that have told us, we simply don't understand what he means. What he's saying is not correct, and you would think, that clip came out a long time ago. And the one that I just had you play was like a few days ago. So you would have thought if maybe he made a mistake or there was something wrong with his statement, maybe he would have cleaned it up or maybe just restated it in a better way so that, the normies can understand, because that's his purpose, right? He's a science communicator. All these Star Talk videos are for him to teach the normies of the world how the earth works, right? So you would have thought he would have cleaned that up. But apparently he just reiterated the same exact story that he did before. So when people like, I don't know, what was this guy's name? Danny Faulkner tells us, oh, we simply don't understand. He was wrong and it's much more complicated. Well, you would have thought Mr. Science Communicator, the tutelage under Carl Sagan, would have been able to come up with a better way to explain it, but I guess not.
Are we good to move on to the sun now, 10th?
No. One more comment here. Well, Danny Faulkner is in astronomy. What's Neil deGrasse Tyson's background in education?
Isn't he like an astrophysicist?
Yeah, indeed. And so you've got a guy who teaches astronomy trying to correct an astrophysicist. Sounds more like a contradiction is there, and they're trying to paddle backwards to get onto some solid ground that doesn't exist for their argument.
Also, there was some doublespeak in the video, how he says this was the Coriolis force that was causing this. But at the beginning of the video, clearly stated that the Coriolis force isn't actually a force. It's a fictitious force. So, yeah, that was some doublespeak. But that's standard for Neil deGrasse.
Yeah, but this is the same as the astrophysicist that says that doesn't know what gravity is. I guess he didn't got the memo that it's the bending of space-time.
What it is? Well, come on, Chocolate, give it to us.
As far as what it is, we don't know.
Okay. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Sun is over here.
No, but we found out yesterday you don't get sunburned from it.
When I say it's over here,
You're
that's
gonna
when Arwen's supposed to say it's over there. Where the hell's Arwen?
need
Probably.
R for that.
Yeah, you will need R for that. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Again, question number one. The Black Swan debunked it in 2020.
Which
Only
one?
from,
Which are the claim or the straw
Observation
man?
angle.
Oh wait, they're the same thing. My bad.
One more time, one deck.
Just saying there is evidence of the R value, but it all comes from a flat baseline and it's measuring elevation angles.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Not scientific, no.
Wouldn't that require observing it first?
Yeah.
Well, do we observe it in nature, gravity, the way they claim what it is?
No.
All right. So
And-
no hypothesis, no scientific method can be applied to it.
I was coming to that. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Well, not maybe some of them could look at a star and observe something, but then they're stuck after that. They can't go manipulate and the independent variable. They can't go do something to the star to see if that's the reason why it's doing what it's doing. So some of them, you don't even get to the first step.
I thought that all of that has been debunked by Einstein in 1915. Gravity not being a force. If gravity is not a force, the whole model implodes. You don't have centers of mass on the stars or anything like that.
Well, I think the question was about a hypothesis. Can they even come up with one?
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics, or ether belief?
No. That's all we're asking for, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's just a belief, like you say.
In the case of the ether, is worse than that because there's nothing to observe.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Sounds like ether to me.
Molten iron core sounds like ether. I don't know about that.
It sounds to me like the begging the question of the electromagnetism, the perpetual motion necessary for that.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
This is the easiest one for everyone to understand, I think.
Yeah, I like the...
I think it's the best.
Go on.
Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Beautiful words said by a baller.
I was at a get-together or birthday party for a friend and started talking to this one guest in her 70s. And I don't know how it got to it, but it got to all the lies and from the government. And then from there, I transitioned somehow to how they lied to us about the nature of our reality. And she was nodding her head, agreeing that that happens. And then I said, for example, look up. And she looked up. It was sky, some clouds. We're in San Diego. You could see the harbor. from this house. And I said, "What is that up there?" He goes, "The sky." And I go, It's gas pressure. It's the air we breathe, right?" He goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Now, do you believe it when NASA says that we're on a ball with gas pressure next to a vacuum? How's the gas pressure staying on Earth without a container?" And the pause
What
and
did
the
she
eyes
say?
rolling back into her head were epic. She goes, "You're right." So it was pretty cool just to leave it there.
We covered all the housekeeping questions. Is that all of them? I feel like I've missed one.
Have you done elevation?
Have you done
elevation?
Ah, yes. Any evidence of an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No, I'm currently
Elevation.
offering $500.
Hold
If
on,
you
are we
can
getting
provide
feedback?
that information.
We're getting feedback from Gilded. Say that again, one day.
Might be me, sorry. I'm saying no, I've been offering money for people who can demonstrate an elevation angle with a curved baseline from any of the navigation books, but no one's been successful as yet.
Bummer. I think that does conclude the housekeeping, though.
Wasn't the McToon's challenge riddled with disclaimers when Adam read it? And one of them was, you can't use celestial navigation books because they belong to the globe.
So what if we use globe-believing celestial navigation books to show how, like on screen right now, you can only acquire an elevation angle measurement off a flat baseline? Then that's not allowed.
The claim was these are our books, meaning the globes, and we can't use those things. And what he just said is that he'll offer money if you can use any of those books to prove an elevation angle with a curved baseline. Well, wait a minute. No wonder they don't want us to use their books, because they don't have a curved baseline. They have a tangent plane, or it's coming from the equatorial plane, but it's never coming from a curved surface. No wonder they don't want us to go to their books. Huh?
Yeah.
So I've been quite stressed out over the last couple of days. Well, ever since I was claimed to be a scammer by Jeranism on his live show. Obviously, that's quite distressful, or distressing, I should say. As I explained to Jeran in a Skype message, I've got a livelihood that I've built up over the last 7 years on YouTube, and obviously it's highly detrimental to be claimed to be a scammer. That's not going to do you any favors. I said it was disgusting, etc., etc. However, 10th Man disagreed and said, no, this is the best thing that could possibly happen. You will gain more support for this. I'm like, well, maybe that'll be the case. Well, overnight I gained 3 Patreons. So, yeah, it does seem to be the case that literally in the last 24 hours I've gained a reasonable amount more support than I didn't have before. So, 10th, I don't know what to say. I did send you the message saying that this morning.
No, I got it. I got it. It was obvious to me, because when you can create a contrast on a position, then there's no more muddy waters, so to speak. Not a pun on yesterday, but okay, so that's what they teach there, and this is what they teach here. I'm going to go here, and this is what was good about it. The nonsense that was coming out of Jaron about proof. And then later, him contradicting himself by saying when he saw Zach do the experiment, he changed his mind because it proved something. That alone separated what we do, what they do. And it's an implication on them, not you. So I think that contrast was needed, and finally it came.
Right, and there's plenty of useful education in this. So that's exactly what I'll be using, the dissection of the claims from Jeran. I mean, it's not my fault that it's been Jeran that's put out this magic trick and utilised the words of science like experiment incorrectly. That's not my fault. But he will be used as a teaching tool to anybody who's watching. It'll be a series, Educating Jeranism. Now, this didn't have to be the case. I approached Jaron personally and said, I want a retraction. You better damn well give me one. And he hasn't. So, no worries. I'll use you as a teaching tool and I'll contrast you with people who do the exact same thing on the globe and people who do the exact same thing you've claimed I'm a scammer for on the Flat Earth side. I've already done that, so you can check this out. It's on a shorts video where I use what Jaron has claimed, that would be I'm a scammer for claiming that science proves things, and then got Bob's claims of science proving ether right next to them. So it'd be interesting to see if Jaron doubles down on science not proving anything, so I can put that next to Bob saying science proves ether again. So it does seem like Jaron's a bit between a rock and a hard place, because if he doubles down on his claim against me, he's throwing every one of his compadres who have said science proves the ether under the bus and claiming they're scammers. And that's what I'll put in the title. So beware if you're out there and you're associated with Jaron and you've been saying you've got science for things you haven't, because he's about to call you out as a scammer when I put his words next to you saying you've got some science you haven't. Jaron will be telling you all how big a scammer you are, starting with Bob Nodell. Bob Nodell explicitly stated that science had proved the ether. Proved, he said, Jaron, proved. Well, obviously he's a scammer, isn't he, Jaron? That's why your shorts video's got you calling Bob Nodell a scammer based on the standards you've called me a scammer with. Totally unreasonable. And that will continue until I get a retraction out of Jaron. So a few people have contacted me and said, what's with this war that's going on between you and Jaron? I've said, well, I've been doing what I do. We do what we do on Flat Earth. We've proactively been contacted by Witsit, who's put his crappy, non-scientific claims in front of us, and we've done what we do. We've pulled them apart. Now we're being called scammers. Why? Well, when it was the ball being pulled apart by their lack of scientific evidence, it was cheered. Oh, right, but then there's similar people in Flat Earth who've realised there's a powerful magic trick of using the words of science to grease the skids of their just-so stories, and they better damn well shut down the people who point out that they're using a magic trick. That would be me. Of course, that backfires pretty damn quick when there's plenty of charlatans who are claiming science proves things from your own side on your own show, Jaron. That would be Globebusters, Bob Nodell specifically, who specifically says science proves ether. Well, he's obviously a scammer if he's saying it over and over again, Jaron, as you quite rightly point out. Now, I think you better damn well get on with that retraction, you little scumbag.
Actually, he said for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years of proof, according to Bob, Jaron. Well, if he's repeating that, he's a scammer by your standards, Jaron. The standards you tarred me with? Yeah, well, they apply to Bob when he says there's proof from science about ether. He's a scammer, isn't he, Jaron? You know he's a scammer because he's saying it over and over again. And by Jaron's standards, Bob is a scammer. Ain't that right, Jaron? Because he's saying science proves. I mean, what is he, a moron? Does Bob think science proves his ether? Does he not know that science doesn't prove it? It's not science, by the way. Bob hasn't got any science. I've told him so. And I've told you too, Jaron. But you want to declare that science doesn't prove anything incorrectly and label me a scammer? I'll put your words of science not proving anything next to all the claims Bob's made that it does. Specifically ether. Very, very embarrassing for you both, you pair of clowns. And it'll continue until I get a retraction. A retraction that I'm a scammer for declaring correctly so that science is empirical and proves things. I'm not going to be labelled a scammer for that. I'm going to indefinitely demand a retraction and humiliate Bob and Jaron for their double-speak contradictions until I get one. Would you like to hear it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
I'll dig that out if you can talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Yeah, it's I mean, to come and say there's no proof and there could be other factors, and then to go to something Zach did and said that was proof enough for him. I don't know what to say to that. It's crazy.
It's a doublespeak. You say you're a doublespeak. double-speaking, lying sack of crap.
You have to just, if you're going to say that kind of stuff, you have to say reality doesn't exist. You can't prove anything. You have to go there.
Experiments prove that the ether is actually there.
Right? That's how you know you're being scammed. So back when Nathan Oakley kept saying things like science proves this, science proves, I took him and said, Nathan, you know science doesn't prove anything, right?
Is that it also confirms the existence of what science has known for hundreds of years, and that is the existence of the ether.
I took him and said, Nathan, you know science doesn't prove anything, right?
What science has known,
you know science doesn't prove anything, right? Right? That's how you know you're being scammed.
Experiments prove that the ether.
You know science doesn't prove anything, right?
Yeah, I was talking to Jaron about Bob Nodell claiming science for the ether, and Jaron turned around to me and he says, you know what, Nathan? Science doesn't prove anything. That's how you know you're being scammed. And I said, yeah, Jaron, that's how we know we're being scammed by Bob Nodell when he parrots his claims of science proving his ether. Has he got a hypothesis? No, he's not got science. But that is how you know. And it's been stamped, approved by Jaron. That's how you know Bob's scamming you. Isn't that right, Jaron? Yeah, when he keeps parroting this nonsense that's been proven wrong again and again, that he has got his science that he keeps babbling on about, then you know damn well he's a scammer, don't you, Jaron? That's how you know Bob Nodell is a scammer. I want that retraction. You better hurry up about it, Jaron, because I'm going to be putting your words next to any of the other clowns that use science incorrectly. And they're not going to be happy with you calling them a scammer like you're calling Bob a scammer.
You actually think you're going to get one?
I don't care. The longer he doesn't retract his words that I'm a scammer for declaring correctly that science is an empirical method that proves your outcome, because it can't do anything else, until he retracts that I'm a scammer for saying that, I'll just put his words out there as a series called Educating Jeranism. That's what I'll do. We've got plenty. I've got about 3 hours of footage to trim into clips. I can do it for weeks until he retracts his crap. Till then, he'll be held up as the poster child of the moronic idiocy of a lack of knowledge of science. That's what he'll be. And in the meantime, he'll be juxtaposed with people like Bob saying they've got proof in the form of science. Bob's being called quite directly a scammer for saying that by Jaron. Now, in reality, Jaron's calling me a scammer for saying that. But as Bob says it too, I'll just put Bob's words next to Jaron's, and fact, Jaron's calling Bob a scammer. Because Bob's saying science proves his ether. Well, no, if he keeps saying that, according to Jaron, he's a scammer. So I'll keep it up until I get my retraction. Because until he gives it, the standards is laid down, calling me a scammer, make Bob Nodell a scammer, don't they, Jaron?
Tell you what, I used to say that the ballers and anti-flat earthers don't think things through. I could see that these guys don't either. You got to be foolish to come against Nathan Oakley and flat earth debate. You're going to hurt yourself.
But Jaron told me it wouldn't work out well for me if I, defended myself against his claims that I'm a scammer? Oh, your threats that it won't work out for me aren't working out well for you, Jaron. That's what's actually occurring here. Yeah? No, I'm picking up Patreons and Super Chats as a result of putting your name in. You said, oh, yeah, you'll get loads of publicity from putting my name in. Yeah, I will. Educating Jeranism will show the world what science really is based on your ignorance. And simultaneously show how Bob's a scammer when he lies about having the empirical method. So, no worries. Won't work out well for me. Yeah, it will. I assure you, Jaron. Of course, you could just make a retraction because you were wrong, and everybody here knows it. They know you were wrong, and that in saying science doesn't prove, something that Bob says it does, prove the ether, that is, yeah, your outrageous assertion requires a retraction because you are wrong. Shout out to Godzilla37, who says, quit scamming me out of my money. And then he says, stop it, with super chats. Thank you very much for the super chats.
I would say the one correction to what Neil just said is that they're not really coming up against us. That in this current moment, they're coming up against each other. Because if you got two guys on the same side saying, one of them saying there's science for ether or science for anything, and then there's the other guy saying science doesn't prove anything, well, then that's a problem that they got to deal with between themselves.
Oh, no,
That's
that's
what I'm
not
saying.
all he
They don't
says.
think things
No, no,
through.
no, 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 no. That's not all he says. He doesn't just say there's no science, it's not proof. He says if you keep saying it when it's been pointed out otherwise. Yeah, it has. It's been pointed out to Bob 4 years ago, and he's still saying it, isn't he, Jaron? Therefore, a scammer, if he keeps repeating that shite that I've corrected for him. And I'll trim out bits of me correcting it to Bob personally and put them next to you saying how big a scammer he is when he disagrees with the empirical method, but then simultaneously says he's got science. This is going to be an absolute humiliation for you and Bob, Jaron. Of course, you could just make it a retraction based on your incorrect assertion that science doesn't prove things and that water can't be declared to boil at 100 degrees. Ergo, I'm a scammer? No, Jaron. No, you'll find that people will rally behind things that are actually truthful as opposed to your parlour tricks. Now, I've also got a video saved that Jaron sent me of him making a little piece of cigarette paper levitate, a magic trick he did. Do you remember sending me that 5 years ago, Jaron? Yeah, that'll get you used too. I asked Jaron how a parlour trick was done, a magic trick, and he showed me how the magic trick was done by levitating a little bit of cigarette paper. Remember that, Jaron? Now let me get it straight. That little cigarette paper that you sent me on that little video clip, that sounds very similar to this Van de Graaff generator moving a bit of paper. I wonder how that'll look when I compare those two with you laughing about how magic tricks with paper dancing isn't proof of anything. And then I'll play you saying that you've got a little bit of paper moving? I'm going to rip your arsehole through your throat, Jaron. Won't work out well for me. I don't think so, sunshine. I've got lots of people calling me a scammer, Jaron, in my super chats. You know, they seem to be rallying behind me with money. Far from not working out well for me, people are giving me money to humiliate you, you ignorant little twat. In case you can't tell, I am absolutely furious that Jaron has claimed I'm a scammer for saying science proves. I mean, I'm livid. Typically, when I say I'm livid, it's mostly for dramatic effect, mostly to just labour the point that I'm putting to a baller, or emphasise the win. This isn't that. This is me genuinely furious with Jaron. I could throttle him. I am livid with him. How dare he threaten my livelihood? How dare you threaten what I've built upon this channel based on truth in Flat Earth because you're wrong about something? You deserve punishing, Jaron. That's what I was trying to illustrate you through my furious frustration when I was talking with you. Yeah? You should be punished for this. Yeah, in case you can't tell.
Especially if it's just like an ego thing. I mean, like he said we're scammers because we were laughing at something he said. Well, does that automatically make us scammers? Maybe it makes us assholes for laughing at you, and if your ego is hurt by that, okay. But that doesn't make us automatically a scammer, especially if you're saying that because we say science proves things. Well, that's what it does. It's a method, right? But then you got your man, Bob, saying the same thing. So it's like, maybe y'all should get together and work that out, because this is starting to sound kind of silly.
No, it's fine by me. Far more effective for me to get Jaron pointing out how big a scammer Bob is when he lies about having science. No worries. I'll do that indefinitely. It's far more effective. Me telling Bob subtly and kindly that the knife cuts both ways, and if you haven't got empiricism behind your claim of an experiment, it's going to end badly because I'm pulling apart Globalize with the exact same method. Well, if you're doing that, and you've got Jaron saying, well, that makes you a scammer, if you say the word science, and you keep saying it when it's obviously a lie, no worries, that's very useful for me. Me saying it didn't work, did it, Jaron? Maybe you saying how big a scammer Bob is when he lies about science, maybe that'll have more impact. Certainly earning me more money, as it looks like.
Nathan, this is not just science doesn't prove things. It's the whole idea of what the word proof, and evidence is. I made 3 memes in Master D just to have a little fun at it. You show them.
I've got your first slide up.
Yeah, go ahead. I can't see them on my phone.
Jaron said, I can't blame the storm and high surf because there might be other factors. No proof at all. Why did I believe Jaron when he said nothing can be proven? Very good. Jaron said, it isn't enough proof, Mom. Very good.
That's the contrast. That's the cylinder. I mean, ballers come up with better stuff.
One of his other criticisms was it's unreasonable to say this is embarrassing. So let me just take a little straw poll. Is it embarrassing to declare to an audience that you, quote, cannot say water boils at 100 degrees C, end quote, Jeranism? You cannot say that. Is that embarrassing, you fucking clown, Jaron? Yeah, I think it is. That's an embarrassment. You, Jaron, saying that I can't say water boils at 100 degrees, not proof of anything, that's truly humiliating to me, to be stood next to you as a flat earther. I am ashamed to be associated with you making statements like that, Jaron. It is truly embarrassing. Do you not like that? Maybe repeat it. Maybe double down and tell people again. Maybe demand that they can't say water boils at 100 degrees. It's not proof of anything. You tell them, Jaron. Make those demands. Lay down what they can and can't say to them. Piece of shit.
I mean, I feel like in all honesty, we're kind of going backwards here. And I completely disagree with what Jaron said. I feel like that's exactly what science is for, is to prove things. And to say it doesn't prove things is we're going backwards now.
Who's that?
Very wise person. This is going backwards. And the few people who've got in touch with me and gone, why are you at war? Automatic assumption that I've caused this, which isn't unreasonable. I'm a fairly antagonistic guy, but generally reactive. And that's why I explained to the few people who had contacted me why this is happening. Why is this happening, Nathan? Well, because I run a public show, and ether believers can come and punt their views on the nature of Earth here. I invite it daily. But when they do and they get taken apart, they really don't like it. And as a result, they've proactively attacked me as a scammer. Why? Because the standards we've used for the last 4 years to take apart Globe Lies are coincidentally the same exact method of lies that are being used by fellow flat earthers. And they really don't like us messing with that magic trick. They prefer we didn't point out that their version of quote-unquote experiment isn't a hypothesis test and doesn't have a hypothesis. It'd be better if we just, as Bob's going around saying, end FED. What? End the debate about flat Earth because you're wrong about something? What, destroy my career and livelihood I've built up on YouTube because you're lying about having science? That seems very unreasonable. Let's see who everyone gets behind.
Sounds like they're lining up because there was a show called Fight the Flat Earth. So now we got people supposedly with us on our side, community, saying end flat Earth debate. I don't know about that.
No. Craig is in our community like Bob is. Yeah, we're all in the same mucky pool together. Me, Bob, Craig, Simon, Dan, we're all in the same pool. And you can see cats over there scrambling to get out. Hey, conspiracy cats, you trying to get out of the pool? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you're stuck in here with this sunshine. Yeah, there's no scrambling.
He tried, though.
Did someone tell them to stop peeing in the pool and limit?
I didn't hear that. Say that again, Chocolate.
Someone tell them to stop peeing in the pool then.
Stop peeing in the pool? Without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote, conspiracy cats. Yeah, that sort of thing's not going to work well when you need to have a sky vacuum and a means of getting through the non-barrier, non-container to go to space. I mean, you're obviously debunking space with statements like that. What's that? You'll give away your channels to some idiots that haven't got very much popularity and then feel like you've escaped? Well, I mean, you can feel like that. You're still stuck here with us, though.
Chocolate, just the image in my mind. Now I know where they get their P and S waves.
I mean, even though, the man has left the discussion, beautiful quotes like, without the balloon, there could be no pressure. We'll live on in infamy. So don't worry. We'll keep your memory alive, buddy. Enjoy your life.
Yeah, to all of you out there who think that I've started a war, absolutely not. What has happened is we've done what we do for the last 4 years, but the standard we use has been applied to somebody who came here with claims from the flat earth side. Now, believe me, we'd be chastised as hypocrites if we didn't apply the same standard to everybody, and we do. And when we applied that standard to Witsit Gets It, it didn't work out well for him. Therefore, we need suppressing. We've been reactive, admittedly after encouraging people to state their views on the nature of Earth. Witsit has taken upon himself to proactively come and preach that garbage to us, which was dutifully ripped to shreds. But now we need shutting down. Now we need to end FED. Why? Because that standard that we applied to take apart the globe is suddenly taking apart your nonsense too. That's not my problem.
Well, this has had to have happened because the ballers stopped coming here because the standard you're speaking about took them down and they got no arguments here anymore. So then people in our own camp who are doing the same kind of sophistry, parlor tricks, they attacked you first. They came and said, you are wrong, you're scamming. You didn't put out no video like that against them. All you did was use the same arguments we took down the baller sophistry and you applying it to them. And now they started this so-called war. It's not going to end well for them.
Got an on-topic subject, so let's get back to it. Hillside. I could kiss you, mate. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, can you guys elaborate on the lunar cycles briefly? I'm seeing full moon this morning with the sun in the sky. Isn't this impossible in the heliocentric model? ? Thank you first and foremost for your super chat. Thank you secondly for your question, which is excellent. And the answer is no. That is not impossible in the heliocentric model to have the sun and the moon up at the same time. There are certain exceptions that are impossible. Typically, they get labelled by heliocentrists in the title as being impossible. Like the impossible eclipse, the Salaninian, that's impossible. But they declare it because they hide the devastating fact that there's an impossible situation in their model in the title. Like it's, that's the place it does the least damage. So the impossible moon or something like that. What's it called? The Salaninian. Where it's...
The impossible eclipse.
The impossible... There you go. I got it right the first time. The impossible eclipse. So yeah, there are certain things that are impossible. I have the same assumption when I first got into Flat Earth 7 years ago. In fact, you can still find it on Oakley Cord channel. One of my very first videos is me looking at the sun with the moon up going, this ain't possible. And then somebody showed me that it was. And I was like, all right. Okay, it's possible in the model. Yes. But does anybody want to cover lunar cycles specifically?
The only thing I want to say about it is in the research, they say the moon traverses the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, and Capricorn all in 1 month's time, where it takes a whole year for the sun to do that. So that might have a play into it.
Hopefully that was a good enough answer. I don't know if anybody else has got anything to add. Specifically, we're being asked for $10, I might add, if we can speak about lunar cycles briefly. So if anybody knows anything about lunar cycles. I know that we've got a bit of a deception in terms of the Gregorian. Are we on the Gregorian calendar? Is that right? Yes, Nathan, you're right. Oh, well, even if I'm not, somebody's confirmed it. Excellent. Well, the current calendar gives us a month that isn't the same as a lunar month. However, your pay cycle is. Your pay cycle's done on a lunar month. I can't remember who said it, but they were like, millionaires look at astronomy and billionaires look at... I've got this completely ballsed up, haven't I? You know what I mean? The actual lunar cycles, which is the logic of the stars or astrology, would dictate that you've only got 28 days for a lunar cycle, whereas a month or month, if you think about it, gives it a 30 or 31 day or 28/29. It's the right cluster, you know what. So what tallies in our natural calendar would be governed by the moon, had it not been for the fact that the Gregorian calendar took away a month and changed the times. So nobody's referencing what is a natural calendar anymore because it's been so messed with over time. I don't know if anybody else can anything else about that. All I can give you, I'm afraid. That's all I know. Clearly not. Moving on. Thank you very much for the super chat, Hillside. Really appreciate it. Glad we're back on track. Obviously, it's developed a really good conversation too, which is always nice.
Well, do we have any ballers in the new channel gilding?
The goalie, Puckerell, Peaceful Warrior, George, Endless, D-Gold76, Conrad, and then we got moderators underneath them. That's it. It's a brand new server though, so it's going to take a while to build up a base of people that want to come in en masse to say nothing. Oh, I'm looking forward to the day we've got 25 people in there saying nothing. Because it does invalidate all the DATRH videos now. Because it's Gilded rather than Discord. So you can have the tumbleweed sound effect from Gilded. If he ever makes another one.
He has to make another one. Otherwise, I'll never be legit.
What, you're saying because you've never been immortalized as a fake character in Globe Earth Dictate?
Yes. Come on. You haven't made it unless you're there.
I'm sure Darth would be pleased to hear that. I didn't know you lent so much credence to his work, but I'm sure he's grateful.
I sent him messages. Said, let's go. Get on the ball here.
That's probably why I stopped. Leave him wanting more. Very wise.
Nathan, do you remember when you first started your show? What was the strongest argument that the ballers brought to you at the very start?
The very start of Flat Earth Debate, the majority argument was all about the curve calculator. Isle of Man.
Okay, now what have we found out about the curve calculator and the Isle of Man since then?
Calculator has been renamed from Earth Curve Calculator to the Begging the Question, Proof of Nothing, Perspective Hijacking Earth Curve Calculator. And it's based on an R value that can no longer be measured because it was derived from a physical geometric sphere edge horizon debunked by the Black Swan in the 1st of January 2020.
So the curve calculator assumed R, but never proved it.
It assumed a physical geometric limitation to your view called Earth curve blocking boats and buildings. We debunked both the value used to claim the horizon is a physical geometric limitation blocking boats and buildings. So therefore, as the globe's strongest argument, aka the curve calculator, is no longer and probably will never ever be presented ever again because we've debunked all aspects of it. The value that's used to make the maths R, we debunked because they can't derive an R value from the horizon, the same horizon they claim was physically blocking things, because now they say it's refracted. Ergo, you can't derive the R value in the Al-Biruni method by climbing up a mountain after measuring its height off a flat plane to do trig based on the dip value to the geometric physical limitation to your view, formerly known as Earth curve.
So is that why it starts with a begging the question, if the Earth is a sphere? Can you go over that?
If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, that's the claim of Earth being a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, by the way. Not a straw man, your claim in the most part. That's what you're actually claiming. But if the Earth was a sphere, as they claim, with a radius of 3959, as they're trying to prove, then every distance to the horizon, that would be the geometric limitation to your view that boats and buildings are claimed to be blocked by, would be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as per the Earth curve mathematics. And the distance to the horizon in the black swan is beyond those geometric limitations of a globe sphere radius 3959. Therefore, the horizon is not a sphere edge blocking your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and Earth is not a sphere with a radius 3959 because you can no longer derive r from the horizon.
Would that be similar, not the same, but similar to someone purposely changing road signage and saying, from where you are to Los Angeles is 300 miles, and then you go 300 miles, and then you see another sign saying, from where you are to Los Angeles is 600 miles? Doesn't exist.
It's more like saying there's something in the distance called the horizon that's the edge of Earth blocking your view. And then when you show that it isn't blocking your view, in fact, it's behind the thing it's supposed to be obscuring, your opponents will tell you that what would you expect? You wouldn't expect to see Earth curve. Nobody's expecting to see physical geometry. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. And you go, right, so the horizon's not Earth curve then. Only exists in the maths. We wouldn't expect to see it blocking boats and buildings like it says in the maths. Okay, we win. No worries.
Yeah, very good.
Still got a few minutes on this live show. Hopefully the energy level will increase in the after show. We will see. It's me putting everyone on the back foot with my disdain towards Jeren for him claiming I'm a scammer.
No, that's you have to defend yourself when someone comes at you, and you have, and you've shown enough evidence that the attack was launched from their side against us because we applied the same logic that we do to ballers when they make sophistry claims and false claims, and they don't like it, so they attacked you, and you got to do what you got to do. I mean, I don't know what to say.
I think I was reasonable. I contacted him first. You know, I said I want a retraction. What was that? 2-3 days ago? Have I got one? Where's my retraction? You know, I'm not a scammer. What do you want?
Well, that was the best move you did by contacting him first, and he didn't respond. So now let it play out.
Oh, he did respond. He told me it wouldn't work out well for me if I'm going to paraphrase. He didn't say this, but it won't work out well for me if I defend myself against your claims I'm a scammer. Oh, well, we'll find out.
Wow.
Go on, whoever that was. I've stopped because you started.
That was Neil saying, wow.
Was that all it was? Did you have anything to add, Neil? Neil?
That's amazing. Neil not talking.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, a lot of them today, so thank you very much indeed for that. And of course, another massive thank you to today's Discord and Discord, Gilded and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!